Humans as interdependent agents in complex systems. Complexity science shows societies as complex adaptive systems, dynamic networks of interacting agents, whose collective behavior cannot be deduced by looking at isolated parts. In such systems, macro-level patterns emerge unpredictably from many micro-level interactions. For example, simple models, like Schelling's segregation or Axelrod's iterated prisoner's dilemma, demonstrate that large-scale patterns of segregation or cooperation can arise even when individuals follow simple local rules. In human organizations, the place you work, or the culture of an institution, is literally an emergent phenomenon of all the people and their connections. Complexity theory thus warns that treating people as isolated tokens ignores the rich interconnections that generate social order. When individuals interact, they form networks, social, economic, informational, with feedback loops that can amplify or dampen behavior. Feedback in a complex system can be positive, reinforcing, or negative, stabilizing. For example, cooperative behavior can spread through network effects, while social sanctions can suppress norm violations. Social psychology agrees that people's lives and goals are inherently tied together. Social interdependence theory, Johnson and Johnson, states that the accomplishment of each individual's goals is affected by the actions of others. Under positive interdependence, individuals reach their goals only if others also do, leading them to encourage and help one another. By contrast, negative interdependence, zero-sum, fosters competition, obstruction, and conflict. In practice, most human endeavors, workplaces, families, communities, involve significant positive interdependence. We rely on friends, neighbors, and strangers to provide services, safety, and emotional support. Psychologically, humans need social bonds. Isolated individuals suffer worse mental and physical health, and lack of social support is linked to stress and depression. Thus, both complexity theory and social psychology emphasize that we are fundamentally interdependent, not self-contained atoms. When policymakers or organizations ignore this interdependence, the results can be severe. Treating people as discrete parts, e.g., assuming isolated rational actors, tends to produce policies that break social bonds. For instance, over-centralized systems may discount local knowledge or community trust, leading to alienation and a decline in cooperation. Negative feedback loops arise. If citizens feel unheard or isolated, they withdraw from civic life, lowering social trust. On a psychological level, an extreme individualistic approach can foster loneliness and competition instead of mutual aid. In short, ignoring emergent interdependence erodes social, political, and psychological well-being, e.g., we see higher polarization and distrust in overly fragmented societies. Self-organization in crises and complex systems. A key insight of complex systems thinking is that under stress or breakdown, systems often self-organize, rather than collapse immediately. In disasters or social stress, people on the ground spontaneously form new networks to solve problems. For example, after the 1985 Mexico City earthquake, neighbors immediately fed and sheltered each other, formed cleanup crews and relief brigades, and organized 1 2 2 3 4 5 6 7 for 1 1 popular assemblies, all with little or no initial state direction. Similarly, during the COVID-19 pandemic and climate disasters, mutual aid networks in cities and towns have delivered food, medicine, and support faster than many centralized programs. These emergent networks exhibit positive feedback, initial acts of help build trust, which encourages more cooperation and resource sharing. Social norms like solidarity and reciprocity become enforced locally. Those who don't pull their weight are sanctioned by the community, while helpers gain social capital. In effect, resilience emerges from the bottom up. Even if formal institutions falter, adaptive local structures can keep the system alive. This is what complexity scholars call an adaptive response. Components, people, neighborhoods, rewire their interactions to meet new challenges. Decentralized governance for ethical pluralism. The recognition of emergent interdependence motivates a decentralized approach to governance. Push decisions down to where people are strongly interconnected and accountable to each other, subject to shared higher-level principles. History provides a key example in the Ottoman Empire's model of pluralistic, decentralized rule. Ottoman Empire around 1875, showing core provinces red and semi-autonomous regions pink. The empire spanned many ethnicities and religions, each often allowed self-rule under its own laws. In the Ottoman millet system, each religious confessional community, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, etc., had its own court of law for personal and communal affairs. Rather than imposing one cultural model, the state explicitly embraced diversity. As Tainer Ackham notes, the empire was based on the principle of heterogeneity and difference, opposite to modern nation-states. In practice, non-Muslim communities enjoyed significant autonomy. Each millet educated its children, managed its welfare, and adjudicated marriages and inheritance according to its traditions. The goal was minimal coercion by keeping the different peoples separated. The millet system sought to minimize conflict and preserve social order in a very heterogeneous state. Tensions did flare at times, of course, but the core approach let diverse groups coexist under a common political structure. Scholars have argued that this form of non-territorial autonomy can still inspire modern solutions for diversity. Instead of forcing uniformity, grant communities leeway to govern themselves locally within a broad legal framework. These Ottoman lessons reflect a general principle: subsidiarity and localism. Modern political philosophers and activists, e.g. the localism movement, argue that people should solve problems in their own communities whenever possible. This is not utopian. In democratic federations like the US, Canada, Germany, and even Switzerland, many powers already rest at state/provincial or municipal levels. Decentralization means that local governments, neighborhoods, and associations manage education, zoning, small business, or community services, while only essential issues, defense, trade agreements, broad rights protections, are handled centrally. The principle of subsidiarity holds that higher-level intervention should occur only when local action is impossible or leads to injustice. In practice, this means investing in strong local institutions and encouraging civic participation. Decentralized governance also aligns with public trust. People consistently trust local leaders more than distant authorities. In the US, Gallup finds 67% of Americans trust their local government to handle problems, versus only 32% trusting Congress. In Canada, 54% express high or moderate trust in provincial/local government, versus 49% for the federal government. 50L395-403I. Ordinary citizens say neighbors are the best stewards of their own well-being, since they have a better sense of their own needs. By contrast, national leaders tend to be removed from day-to-day reality and thus find themselves locked in ideological polarization. Thus, decentralization can enhance legitimacy and trust. When people have real voice and feedback with those in power, they feel heard, and local officials' performance is visible and accountable. Decentralization in the US and Canada. North American societies already have strong decentralized traditions: federalism, provincial autonomy, local school boards, indigenous governments, etc. But there is room to go further. Policy innovations could draw on the Ottoman example spirit. For instance, municipalities might be empowered to tailor regulations to local diversity, or indigenous and immigrant communities granted formal self-management over cultural and educational affairs, similar to the autonomy of millets. Indigenous self-governance in Canada and tribal sovereignty in the US already echo this idea. Local tribal norms apply to their members' affairs under national recognition. On the municipal level, policies like participatory budgeting, citizen assemblies, or local co-ops put real decisions in people's hands. Federal and provincial governments should act as backstops for fundamental rights and fairness while otherwise stepping back. In the Ottoman spirit, the state's job is to uphold a basic framework, security, citizenship rights, common currency/law, but otherwise let communities manage themselves. If a province tries something controversial, e.g. strict environmental laws or data privacy rules, other provinces have no strict right to block it. The world simply hosts diverse experiments. Likewise, communities that egregiously violate basic rights, polluting neighbors, oppressing minorities, should still be held to account by higher courts and broad human rights standards. The balance is tricky, but the presumption is toward local choice, requiring strong consensus before overriding it. 15, 16, 17, 18, 16, 16, 19, 20, 17, 21, 19, 3. Feedback loops, network effects, and social norms. Decentralized governance thrives on healthy feedback loops. When communities see that good policies yield positive outcomes, others emulate them, a positive network effect. For example, a town that successfully runs a community-owned renewable energy grid can inspire neighboring towns to do the same. Digital networks amplify this. Open source code or policy templates can spread successful local innovations across jurisdictions. Conversely, negative feedback can quickly punish mismanagement. A village that abuses its authority may be boycotted by consumers in other areas or have its businesses shunned. Enforcing norms of fairness. Social norms play a critical role in decentralized systems. Local cultures of civic virtue, cooperation, honesty, reciprocity create stabilizing feedback. People comply with rules not just because of laws but because of communal expectations. For instance, a tight-knit neighborhood may discourage littering or tax evasion through reputation alone. Research on citizen feedback loops shows that when governments actively solicit and respond to citizen input, policies improve and trust soars. Zenkedy's analysis of feedback mechanisms notes that consistent, resident-driven feedback closes equity gaps and builds trust through transparent engagement. In other words, well-structured feedback, surveys, town halls, apps, acts as a virtuous loop. Government listens, acts, and demonstrates responsiveness, which in turn motivates more civic participation. However, network and norm effects can also hinder decentralization. Very homogeneous local cultures might reject diversity, leading to local tyranny of the majority, or local pressure might punish whistleblowers. Strong feedback loops can create echo chambers. If a local media or social network reinforces only one viewpoint, it can mislead the community. Therefore, healthy decentralization requires safeguards. Inter-community communication channels, free press, and mobility allow ideas and norms to cross borders. It also requires meta-coordination. If dozens of cities each have high-speed internet, they should connect their networks so data flows smoothly. In short, robust communication and overlapping norms are needed so decentralized units learn from each other and correct mistakes, while still preserving local autonomy.